Welcome. Welcome, my dear friends and family. Today I'll give you a presentation about being united in hope. Today we'll talk about hope and being united, as I mentioned in the title. Hope wording is like a new wording for me because it changes its color for me. As all words, we feel this word with our meanings, and my meaning has been changing a lot. To me, it's the main catalyst for us to carry on. Hope is what we need the most, not just we, but Gaia needs this as well. In today's world, we experience war, pandemic, kinds of discriminations, ecological crisis, and so on. Sometimes it's hard to stay grounded and carry on. However, Gaia needs us to collaborate with each other's and with her, with Gaia. Maybe we cannot erase sexism or stop wars individually, but we can do more. We can keep our hope and unite in hope, so that we can be ourselves and serve from love, hand in hand. I think it's what the world needs. I'd like to start my presentation with Van Gogh's painting. This painting is in our bedroom. I every day start with this painting. Its name is Starry Night Overon. When I look at it, I see hope. I don't define hope as a kind of belief that better things will happen in the future. There may be shiny days full of joy and happiness, and there may be rainy days, cloudy days full of struggles and worries. My kind of hope is believing that life is not just black or white. There lies love beyond. Even physical aspects of our experiences don't reflect it. Still, there is love. And still, there is more. Life is life. And it's full of miracles and stories. Before going to introduce myself, first, I will mention about what we will talk in this session. Today we'll go through two artists' life stories, Vincent Van Gogh and Furug Ferruhzad. You know that I'm very interested in their life stories. I will introduce the things that, hello, welcome. That are very interesting for me. But before we start, I'd like to introduce myself and my story before Vincent and Furug. I'm Dilek. This is me. My surname is Metinoğlu. I'm 39 years old. I'm married and have a lovely son. I think he's there with my husband. I'm an engineer with a psychology master's degree. I worked for pharmaceutical companies for 8 years, and then the following 8 years, I studied psychology, healing, and writing. As our topic today, being united, I've just united my professional career with healing and writing career. Now, nowadays, I've just started a month ago. I'm working in a pharmaceutical company, and also I'm here with you talking about healing and art. Vincent Van Gogh and Furug Ferruhzad played a huge role in my decision to unite my pathways. I hope today their stories and their art will shine a light to you too, wherever you need to unite in your life stories. I hope so. And I believe they will do it for you with their art, uniting contrasts. Hmm. As we mentioned with Juliana before the session, I live in Istanbul. I was born in Istanbul also. And Istanbul is a city of contrasts. It combines West and East. Today, I hope to do the same for Vincent and Fru, because Vincent is a man from West and Fru is a woman from East. Sorry. Before going to their stories, I'd like to talk about my footsteps a little bit more. This beautiful painting was made by one of my friends for my podcast, Morning Conversations with Gaia. It's very special for me, so I'd like to put it here. I have my own healing sessions for about 7 years, Diamond Selection it's called. It's a healing session that I open a space to deeply call the diamond within us, within him or her. Diamond is the primordial energy that we all came from. We call life's core energy, maybe. It depends on how you want to call it. And I believe that we carry it within ourselves, within our DNA. It's like a blueprint of us. And when we are living with it, or when we are aligned with our blueprint, we find harmony in life. It gets easier. In fact, our diamonds are buried under our stories we tell to ourselves. We made up these stories from our life's experiences. During the diamond selection sessions, we read life experiences from a higher perspective to reveal the diamond within us. An American poet, Muriel Rukeyser, said that the universe is made of stories, not of atoms. I like this very much. And I experienced it during my sessions for years. During these sessions, I realized that when I look closer, or when we look closer to our stories and read by heart, we can take a chance to be healed and get to know ourselves and life more. Like this, when we look closely to other people's stories by heart, we are inspired and healed too. I believe that, like the real stories, our life stories, fictional stories, as well as biographies, especially the artist life stories, short stories, plays, are great healers. That's why I started to write my play Maya and podcast series Morning Conversations with Gaia. And afterwards, I started to try to read Vincent Van Gogh's life and art, and combine it with Furug Ferruhzad's poems and life story. This idea created United in Hope and united us in here. Yeah. As I said, I began my journey with Vincent Van Gogh, and afterwards I connected his life experiences with Furug Ferruhzad. The main reason why I selected her is frankly unknown to me, because I felt it during a morning yoga session. But if you ask me, why did you choose them? I would say that at first, they seem to be opposite. And like all things that seem vice versa, they have very interesting similarities. Maybe I can say intersection instead of similarity. And as I go through their stories, I've found that they have a common ground, a life full of contradictions. Vincent and Fru, a man from West and a woman from East. There is a century between their birth dates. A man strongly believe in God and follow a strict religious way. A woman grown up in a strict Muslim community but not feeling connected with it. Today, we'll closely look to their life stories and try to read them by heart together, sure in the light of their art, Vincent's paintings and Furug's poems and a short film. And also, they have their letters to tell us them, the letters they wrote to their siblings. Another common ground. We'll start with Vincent and go on with Furug. While we are talking about their life and art, we'll take them as our guides to find, cherish, and finally unite in hope. Vincent was born 1853 in Netherlands. He was the son of a housewife mother and a pastor father who had a very strict discipline. He was a man of God. He had 5 siblings. He was the eldest, but not the first child of their parents. He had a brother who died when he was a child. His name was Vincent too. Sorry. Vincent was named after his older brother. Oh, sorry. It's said that he used to visit. Hello, you're welcome. It's said that he used to visit his brother's graveyard every day when he was a child. It's hard to imagine visiting a grave that has your name on the headstone. If children symbolizes the vital part of life, grave symbolizes the fatal part. So we can say that at the beginning of his life, there is life and death together. The main contradictions of life were together. He was not a social child. He was always full of thoughts. He was self-contained and serious. When we think of children, the first thing comes to our minds is joy, playfulness, and high energy. And there is another black and white of Vincent in his childhood. Growing up, he was dedicated to religion and wanted to be like his father, a man of God. At the age of 16, his uncle invited him to work in Gogh and Company, which is an art trade company. I think this was the first call of life to him to meet him with art. When working there, in London and Paris afterwards, he was not so focused on the trade part, the art dealing part. He actually didn't like it. Instead, he started to fall in love with paintings and get to know his inspirations. Let's have a look at who has an effect on him and why. Rembrandt. Among his paintings, I selected this one. The name is Landscape with Rests on the Flight into Egypt, because I think this is quite a symbol of his art. Like other paintings of him, he used light and dark for storytelling. In his paintings, he used light as a symbol of the divine. He tells stories in the paintings from Bible and used dark as a symbol of the circumstances, the emotions in the stories. There are 2 centuries between Vincent and Rembrandt, but a huge impact. I cannot say that Rembrandt affected Vincent with his art. I think this is not the case. I think Vincent liked and got impulse from Rembrandt's art because of the way he sees life in a religious perspective. And again, deep dark, and in the middle of it, holy night. It seems contrasts has a leading role in his life. Another inspiration is Millet, Jean-François Millet. if we like to pronounce it like a French. The name of the painting is Gleaners. Mie focused on portraying people, usually farmers at work. We see stories from country life in Mie's art. It doesn't tell holy stories, but the stories from earth. They are grounded. The people in his paintings are grounded, and they are unsacred. Instead of the holy, maybe even opposite, we just see human working hard to live. Effort and endeavor was the main emphasis in his art. He is one of the strongest sources of inspiration of Vincent Van Gogh. He produced some figures, and after years he adapted them into his own style. For example, this, the Sower. On the right is Vincent's, and on the left, the Sower is Mie's. Vincent drew more than 30 versions of the Sower. At the end of our session, we'll see the final version of the Sower. And here is another reproduction of Mie's painting of Van Gogh. He felt a strong connection with working humans struggling hard to survive. This got stronger when he worked at the coal mining district in Borinage, Belgium. He worked there as an evangelical preacher. He focused on the workers and their painful life. He empathized so much that in the end, church authorities dismissed him for undermining the dignity of the priesthood. Before Borinage, his target in life was religion-oriented, as we said. He tried to study theology, he tried to be a missionary, but he couldn't. Also, he fell in love, but couldn't find love back from any of the women he loved desperately. All those experiences had an effect on him, especially Borinage. It's said that Borinage is the place that made him a painter instead of a pastor. Thanks God he lived in there. This is a photo from Borinage. Black is the main color, you see, it's dark. Coal is dark, minings are dark, faces of the miners are dark. Even the living conditions are dark. They're working for long hours with a high effort. However, they live in very poor conditions. Vincent fascinated with it. We can say that he saw the beauty in the toil of the poor. But I need to remind one thing. Coal is the same molecule with diamond. The deepest dark is the nearest to the pure light. He painted what he saw at Borinage for about 2 years after that experience. His drawings started to be a way to express his feelings and ideas. Look at them. What you see? How are the people in his mind? They look alike, don't they? They're leaning towards earth, not the sky. They don't look anywhere but to the ground. They carry heavy sacks of coal. The name bearers of the burden truly summarizes the heavy feeling. But he wrote his brother about this painting. I'm confident that something good will come of them. And life did it so for him. This strong start gave him confidence and passion to search for more. And then another milestone came. He's searching for color theory. He tried to link music and color. It's very interesting. He couldn't do this. He said that he failed linking music and color, but I don't think so. I think he succeeded linking his color theory with the music of life. It came with a gift. color of light. And this painting is Potato Eaters. This is his first masterpiece and a very well-known painting. Please take a look at deeply. Take a look at it deeply. What do you see? What's the feeling? It's not just black and full of painful stories. And also it's not just a bright and shiny day. Both. They are poor workers, like he used to draw. However, the feeling is different. This painting has hope, light in the middle. He included light in the middle, like Rembrandt's, but the light is different from Rembrandt's because it's not a holy light. It's a light, but in an ordinary life. He introduces Rembrandt's holy light to me as hardworking human. There is a family, and we can say the purity of their souls. They share their meal. They had struggled a lot with earth and weather, and strived a lot to have this meal and share with each other. There is a child, unlike other paintings. They look at each other's eyes, not to the sky and to the earth. They look at each other's eyes for the first time in his paintings. Regarding children and eyes, I'd like to share a sentence of him from his letters, one of his letters to Theo, his brother, his beloved brother. Before drawing this painting, he lived with a pregnant woman and her son, and during that time he wrote on one of his letters, there is something in the eyes that isn't in the cathedrals. So maybe it was the turning point for him from the holy to the human, the ordinary, the eyes. And here, the table is like an altar. They're eating their harvest. They worked a lot. They're tired, and at last they can eat something. They can eat their harvest. Like himself, after all the struggles, he produced a masterpiece. This is a masterpiece of him because this is the first time he combines opposites that played a role in his life. This is the first time maybe he embraced opposites. In early age, he was looking up to search for the Holy Spirit. And then, as we mentioned, he focused on earth stories and struggles. And when he embraced both, he found his sense of passion for art, like we saw in Potato Eaters. And afterwards, another milestone came, Japanese drawings. They were in scope of him. He found emotions like happiness, cheerfulness, joy. These are the emotions he didn't ever mention before. There came another combination, this time in the zone of feelings. With the Japanese impact on his art, his focus turned to nature, and his own nature finds a way to be expressed with his art. He moved to arms and started to observe nature and paint in the middle of the fields. It was like maybe Gaia was holding him in her arms, and he was feeling free and painting free. Dust and pieces of nature was found on his paintings he made on those days. But those days didn't last long, and he struggled with mental health problems, attacks. This painting he made is like an oracle for the upcoming days. He was like a sensitive branch, cracked when he was blossoming and put in a vase, or maybe we can say a cage instead of vase. His vase or cage was Saint-Remy Hospital. He was inside, apart from wind, sun, and the fields all alone. He was mentally and physically in the middle of dark and loneliness when he stayed at Saint-Remy Hospital for his mental illnesses cure. But there, another masterpiece came. Another milestone was that, being in a cage, in a hospital, and being apart from the nature he loves. He found light in the deepest dark and creates starry nights that we are all familiar. Maybe this is the most famous masterpiece of him. Just look at it with an intention to deeply feel it. It's neither a day nor a night. It's somewhere between and beyond. On those days, he wrote a letter to his sister and said that he sees the night even more richly colored than the day. Another contrast was there for him, but this is deeper from the previous ones. He combined the opposites again. He was looking through a little window of the hospital. He put an emphasis on the morning star and the cypress tree. Morning star is where night and day unite, you know. Morning star is Venus, which is named after a Roman goddess. It symbolizes love. And love is what lies beyond all the contrasts. Cypress tree symbolizes life and death and unites both, which brings stories of eternal love. We have lots of cypress trees in the graveyards, don't we? He also at the church and the houses of the village, and I think he united again the holy and the unsacred. If you focus on the wind in the middle, or the symbol in the middle, it's like stirring and harmonizing all of the opposites. When we focus on it, it seems like it gives us a feeling that is alive. Like we are at the same hospital, looking through the same window to the same scene. The scene is alive, and life is there, never ending, ever changing, transforming. And every story ends. The following year, he died. It's a mystery whether he committed suicide or was shot by the children playing on the field while he was working on his last painting. We only know that the gun didn't belong to him, and he did say nothing about the children. As the first years of him, children, joy, life, and death was there side by side. His last words was sadness will last forever. And his brother said that right after he said this, he was gone with a smile on his face and a feeling of a deep peace, a deep grace. Again, contrasts were with him. At that time, he was holding the hands of the wind and fly to the eternity. An unfinished letter was found in his pocket when he died. He wrote that some paintings of him retain their calm, even in the catastrophe. Because he listened to the nature. He saw and painted where all the contrasts unite. And there is hope. This is one of the last paintings of him, wheat fields with crows. I would like to emphasize a symbolism in it, I don't know whether he was aware of it or not, but it's very special for me. According to the shamanic symbolism, crows symbolizes the power to unite light and darkness. They also symbolize mother womb with their black color. A womb creates a new life and always full of hope. These crows are flying to where earth and sky meets, where light shines, where all the roads goes, and where hope unites. And we are going to Furug Ferruhzad's life story. Furug is an Iranian poet. She was born in a big family like Vincent. She had 6 siblings. Like Vincent again, her father was a strict, disciplined man, and her mother was a housewife. She lived in Iran, a religion-oriented population in which women has no rights to live as free as men. This disturbed her so much, and she took this, expressing the burden of women and the inequity in the community, in the society, as a responsibility. And she said that all of her life she would be fighting against this. And she did so. Like the bearers of the burden played a role as a leverage for Vincent, burden of women played a huge role in Furug's life and art. She was not an observer, not just an observer. She herself, unfortunately, struggled with it. When she was married at the age of 17, she wrote a story of an affair, and it was published. It was an uncensored story, and it was found erotic. She used a contrast to challenge patriarchy. She was excluded from the society because of her style. She got divorced. It's a normal thing in today's world, in most of the countries of today's world. However, then it was not in Iran. According to the laws, her son was given to his father, and their relationship with her son was forbidden for whole life long. It's a very sad story. She defined that circumstance as a deep, deep dark. It's hard to imagine, and I don't want to imagine it. She wrote that she was sure that there will be no light anymore. Her light was taken for whole life long. And here is another contrast, because her name means light. Furug means light. And she says that they have taken the light from her world. And they did so. In her darkness and loneliness, she lived with her art. It was her mission to shine a light like her name, and like Vincent put light in the middle of darkness in his paintings. She felt pain deeply, empathized pain deeply, and opened a field to freely express and feel it and to show it in her art. Besides the pain, she used the terms sky and stars, birds, and more than all, a window, like Vincent did. Before her death, she directed the film, The House is Black. You know, house, home is like the warmest thing for us. And black, again, another contrast. She lived with people with leper illness for 12 days in their hospital. In contrast with how people see them, ill and ugly people sure to be dead soon, she found an unexpected grace in their daily life. although their beauty was rotting away. They were wearing makeup every day. Although they were very close to that, they fell in love and got married. She attended 3 weddings during her stay. Her stay was just 12 days, but there were 3 weddings. She saw that they play, plan, learn, excite, celebrate, even they live in an isolated world. Furugh saw the humanity and life behind the disease. She showed that daily moments of pain, despair, warmth, and joy are united in a profoundly human way. Again, like Vincent did in her paintings. Let's have a look at some of her poems that I felt a link with Van Gogh's paintings. This is the part I like the most. You know, I said that he reproduced the Sower, Millet's Sower, for about more than 30 times. And this painting, the Sower, is the last phases of the Sower. You know, at first he copied it from Millet, and then he adapted it into his own style. Here, he added the numbing sunshine and a dusty alleyway like Furugh described. Like you can see here, she wrote, "I love that numbing sunshine and those heavy sunsets and those dusty alleyways and those miserable, vicious and corrupt people." In her letter to Gülistan, she was in love with Gülistan. Like Vincent loved hardworking men and sunsets, she wrote this sentence in her letter. I think they were using the same language to link with life. Here is one of her poems. She says she wants a window. And here is Absent painting of Vincent Van Gogh. He is looking through a window again, like he did when he was painting the Starry Night. It feels like she needed a window to look through the world, and despite her despair, find something shiny in the outer world, like he did in the hospital. She says that, "I speak out of the deep of night, out of the deep of darkness, and out of the deep of night I speak. If you come to my house, friend, bring me a lamp and a window." She needs a window to look through and see the starry sky. The words on the right is from another poem of Furugh, "The Wind Will Take Us." You know, there is a film named after this poem, "The Wind Will Take Us." She says, "Night shudders beyond this window, and the earth winds to a cease. Beyond this window, something unknown is watching you and me." It's like to be written from Vincent's window in the hospital. And under the starry sky, there is a part of poem, another bird poem. She says, "Like a star on wings decked with gold, you come from a land untold. You soothe sorrow's pain, flooding my body with your embracing." It seems Furugh is mentioning about love she feels for a man, and her words are like describing Vincent's Starry Night painting. In his painting, he maybe felt the same love, but the love was not for a woman. It was a love to the divine or to the world. This time, they tell stories of unity with their art again, divine and unsecured, gets united like all other contrasts there. Physically love and love from heart. Sufi love, maybe we can say, were united when we link their art together. I think the most famous poem is "The Birds May Die." She says, "The birds may die, keep the flight in mind." Like the birds, Vincent and Prue carried stories of life's miseries and contentment. They have flied through the world for a lifetime, like the crows here, and they gave us a hint of life with their marvelous art. Sure, we'll keep their flight in mind. As Vincent expressed in this painting, their flight was into the place where all contrasts unite. There lies the essence of life, hope. This is what we live for. Thanks to them and anyone who reminds us where all the things and all of us is united as one. Thanks to them, they carried on with hope. Even all of the desperate moments, they carried on with hope and created this marvelous art, paintings, poems, films, letters. They believed that there is more than the eyes can see. You know, maybe you know, when I learned this, it had a big effect on me, and I would like to share it with you in today's session. Something from Sufism that I feel a connection with Furug's and Vincent's art. In Sufism, God is called Allah, and the word contains three parts: Al, La, and H. Al, the first part, represent the things we want and love, like beauty, easiness, wealth. We don't want these to end in our lives. We always want to live with this. And the other part, the second part, the La part, represents vice versa. This represents the things that we resist, we don't want, we don't like the struggles, wars, and other dark things in our lives, in life. And in the end, the third part is H, means who. Who in Sufism is the breath that embraces both. I hope to embrace both. I hope we all embrace both with our deep breaths. And as we said, there lies love beyond. We need hope to always remember this. And I hope we will always remember this. I'd like to end my session with a cute, sorry for my pronunciation, from Rumi. He said, out beyond the ideas of right doing and wrongdoing. And sometimes they say here, out beyond the ideas of right and wrong, there is a field. I will meet you there. It's the world full of things to talk about. I believe Vincent Van Gogh and Furug Ferruhzad also are waiting there to meet us, to talk these things about life and world, the facts, compassionate facts. I believe there is a field where everything is united, like Rumi said. No bad or good, no false, no misery, no bad choices, no endings. There lies hope there. There lies hope in eternity. I hope to meet you there. Thank you. Thank you for listening me and joining me for this session that I'm in love. Thank you. If you have any comments or questions, you're welcome.
Dilek, may I say something?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, thank you for this beautiful presentation. Okay, it's called like a presentation, but I think it was more storytelling of your heart itself. And you reminded us that there's love and hope and all the colors left behind in our daily lives. So thank you for your kind heart.
Thank you for your comments. It touched my heart. I'm crying.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I'm crying too. Thank you for all the session, and every moment, every word touched my heart actually. And I felt like nowadays we're talking about diversity in all aspects of life, like a new topic. But as a lot of other things, when I look at deeply, as a lot of other things, I've felt like it's only something that we need to remember actually. It was always a part of life, divine, and everything. So yeah, it really gave me a hope.
Thanks God.
Yeah, about all aspects of my life and all aspects of life actually, to divine all aspects. And yeah, it really touched my heart. Thank you for telling this precious story of your heart to us.
Thank you for being here, for listening by your heart, and always being there for me. Thank you. And I guess if you don't have any more comments or questions, we're done, Juliana, but I cannot see you.
Yes, I'm just behind the scenes.
Okay. Behind the scenes.
Yeah,
Then we can unite.
Yeah. Well, that's all. This has been a lovely session, and thank you for presenting it, Dilek, and thank you everyone for being part of it on behalf of TRW. So
thank you for all your support.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
All right. Well, bye-bye.
Bye.